Finnley Ocean Adventure. Once upon a time, in a faraway village by the sea, there lived a young girl named Finnley. Finnley had always been fascinated by the ocean. She would spend hours each day watching the waves roll in and out, imagining all the secrets that lay beneath the surface. She often dreamed of exploring the depths of the ocean, just like her grandfather used to do. He was a sailor, and he would tell Finnley stories about the magnificent creatures and treasures hidden in the deep blue sea. One warm summer evening, as the sun was setting over the horizon, Finnley was walking along the shore when she spotted something unusual, a shimmering shell, unlike any she had ever seen before. It was glowing with iridescent colors, reflecting the fading sunlight in shades of blue, green, and silver. Finnley bent down to pick up the shell, and as soon as her fingers touched it, she heard a soft voice. "Hello! Can you hear me?" Finnley gasped and looked around, but there was no one in sight. She looked down at the shell, and the voice spoke again, this time louder. "Hello, up there! I'm down here!" Finnley knelt down and held the shell closer to her ear. To her amazement, a tiny face appeared in the center of the shell, a face with sparkling eyes and hair that flowed like seaweed. It was a sea sprite. "Oh, thank goodness you found me," the sea sprite said. "I'm Marina. I got lost and ended up far from my underwater home. The currents carried me here, and I need help getting back." Finnley's eyes widened with excitement. A real sea sprite. She had only heard of them in her grandfather's tales. She took a deep breath and said, "I'm Finnley, and I'd be happy to help you get back home, Marina. But how can I possibly do that? I can't breathe underwater." Marina smiled, her eyes twinkling. "That's where the magic of the ocean comes in. Hold the shell tight, Finnley, and trust me." With a mix of excitement and nervousness, Finnley gripped the shimmering shell. Suddenly, the ground beneath her seemed to melt away, and a wave rose up from the ocean, curling around her like a soft blanket. Before she knew it, she was underwater, but she could breathe as easily as if she was still on land. She looked down and saw that her legs had turned into a long, flowing tail, covered in shimmering scales that matched the colors of Marina's shell. Finnley marveled at her transformation. She was a mermaid. Marina swam beside her, giggling. "Come on, Finnley, we need to get back to the Coral Palace. My family must be worried." The two swam deeper into the ocean, passing schools of colorful fish and waving seaweed. Finnley's heart raced with excitement as they glided through underwater canyons and explored hidden caves. She saw dolphins playing nearby, and even a turtle as big as a boat swimming lazily along. As they swam, Marina pointed out all kinds of fascinating underwater wonders. They passed a garden of glowing anemones that swayed gently with the current, their tentacles lighting up like tiny lanterns. Finnley watched in awe as a group of jellyfish floated by, their translucent bodies pulsing with soft pink and blue lights. The ocean was alive with color and movement, and Finnley couldn't believe she was actually part of it. "There it is!" Marina said excitedly, pointing ahead. Finnley looked and saw a magnificent palace rising up from the ocean floor. It was more beautiful than she had ever imagined. The palace was made entirely of coral, with towers that twisted and spiraled towards the ocean's surface. It glowed with colors of pink, purple, and gold, and tiny fish darted in and out of its windows. The gates were guarded by two majestic seahorses, their tails curling elegantly as they stood watch. Marina led Finnley through the gates and into the palace courtyard, where her family was waiting. They were sea sprites, just like Marina, with flowing hair and shimmering scales. They all rushed forward, hugging Marina and thanking Finnley for her kindness. "You are a true friend of the sea, Finnley," said Marina's mother, her voice as soft as the lapping waves. "We are forever grateful to you." Marina's father stepped forward, holding a pearl that glowed with a gentle light. "This is for you, Finnley," he said. "It's a gift from the ocean, a pearl of friendship. As long as you have it, you will always be welcome in our world." Finnley took the pearl, her heart swelling with happiness. She knew that this was a moment she would never forget. She thanked Marina and her family, and with Marina by her side, they swam back towards the surface. As they swam, Marina showed Finnley more of her underwater world. They visited a field of seagrass where a group of young sea turtles were playing, and Marina introduced Finnley to a family of clownfish who lived in a cozy anemone. They even swam through an underwater archway covered in starfish, each one glowing faintly in the dim light of the deep sea. Finnley felt like she was living in one of her grandfather's stories, and she never wanted it to end. As they reached the shore, the wave that had carried Finnley underwater gently set her back on the sand. Her tail turned back into legs, and she stood up, still holding the glowing shell and the pearl of friendship. Marina waved to her from the water, her voice echoing softly. "Whenever you need us, Finnley, just hold the pearl close, and we will come." Finnley watched as Marina disappeared beneath the waves, her heart filled with wonder. She knew that the ocean held many secrets, and she was grateful to have discovered just a few of them. She walked back home, the pearl clutched tightly in her hand, knowing that this was only the beginning of her adventures. The next day, Finnley couldn't stop thinking about her journey to the Coral Palace. She returned to the shore, the pearl glowing softly in her pocket. She sat on her favorite rock, gazing out at the waves, and thought about all the amazing creatures she had seen. She wondered what other secrets the ocean might hold, and she knew that she would be ready for whatever adventure came next. That night, as she lay in bed, Finnley closed her eyes and smiled. She could still feel the gentle sway of the ocean, the cool water flowing around her, and she knew that she would always be connected to the magical world beneath the waves. And as she drifted off to sleep, she dreamed of the Coral Palace, the glowing anemones, and her new friend Marina, knowing that her adventures were far from over.